we have this autoresponder set up on our emails for basically every team email that we have and my personal email. And it's really funny because it's auto-responding to everything, which is causing some really hilarious chaos. You'll get like an automatic email from, let's say, your registrar saying, hey, your domain's about to renew, which then will generate a, hey, we're out of the office response, which then will generate a, hey, we got your ticket, we'll get back to you response, which generates a, hey, we're out of the office response, which you can see how our emails have kind of exploded. And it's left me wondering, is all this automation really going in the right direction? Is efficiency really my friend? Also, did I say something about sunshine yesterday? Because I clearly should not have. This is miserable. Now, thankfully, this is actually a really solvable problem. Obviously, you just got to make some modifications to the rules in the software, and hopefully, we don't have this bot-to-bot conversation going on in our inboxes, because it's just, it's funny, but it needs to come to an end. But it does make me think about the way that people have been talking about using AI to increase productivity over the last 6 months, which I think there's a lot of genuinely good stuff out there. I'm sure there is, but a lot of it, to me, feels like it kind of misses the point of living, which might be an extreme statement to make, but I feel like it's true. It's like when people say, oh, well, if you get this long email, right, that you don't want to read through, you don't have time, just get ChatGPT to summarize it for you. Then you can read the summary. And then if you want to respond, you can just write out a couple of lines and tell it to extrapolate that into a longer email and send that to the person. And does anybody see, like, I'm not the only one that sees the problems with that, right? Am I? Because that really bothers me. Also bothers me is that we missed Maintenance Monday. Maintenance Monday is when we put Cooper and his hygienic health first. He hates the ear cleaning part, but the toothbrushing is all about it. Yes, my sister gave us this toothpaste. He's always been a huge, huge fan. Beyond the lack of like humanity in that exchange, to me it seems kind of obvious that there's a lot of nuance in communication, like in tone and even little details. Maybe they got something wrong in that email, and when it got summarized, that detail that you would have caught had you read the email gets lost, and then you don't respond to it, and then it creates more communications issues. Standing right in the line of whatever's happening right there. I mean, whatever, with email, honestly, if you've got emails that are coming in that are so useless that you can just summarize them to bullet points and then respond to them automatically like that, maybe you should just like stop. But I think even more telling is how people approach things like books for the same reasons: speed, efficiency, get the most out of it possible, and in the end up risking missing the most important parts. Un mélange peut-être. Not only is it super windy and like cold and rainy in your ears, kind of like sideways rain, I also just spent like an hour trying to use an automated service to identify myself to the IRS so that they will accept my money that I already paid them. There's a whole thing, I don't know. That's kind of automation that when it works, I love. Efficiency in the things that I don't want to have to do, like, you know, little details, admin, basically automate bullshit out of my life. But there are a lot of things in life where the inefficiency is the point. Thanks to Danyel, Healey, Moulden, and all my patrons for making all this possible. And thanks to you for watching. Even if you're not a patron, I'm really glad you're here. It's really cold up here. It's not that cold, it's just cold enough. My argument isn't that efficiency is bad necessarily. Obviously in technology and sometimes even in communication, it can be a good thing. Although I think between humans, you know, in human communication, not always the best. But there's something about striving for efficiency eternally. Like I try to make my coffee in the least movements possible, right? Like I'm trying to always optimize parts of my life that sort of rob me of the joy of just partaking in the process. But a lot of times the lack of efficiency is what brings the value. Like the work, the toil, the sweat, the struggle is what makes it beautiful. And I think books are actually a really good example of that. These can fall prey to a lot of different apps that shorten, summarize, and maybe give you the main points really quickly, but that can skip a lot of the best parts that come from reading a book. I just finished The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I actually finished both of his books recently, but this one I think is probably one of my favorite books of 2023. And a lot of the stuff that I underlined in here would never make it into like a summary of what the book was about, the main points, the whatever. There are a lot of little things in here that struck me because of where I was at when I read it. Honestly, a lot of the stuff in here just feels like career advice more than money advice. And maybe that's what he intended when he wrote it, but if I had jumped ahead and just asked for the summary points, like what are the main points, I just want to get the good stuff out of this and go. There are a lot of throwaway lines in here that I definitely never would have caught. And a lot of the depth and the value from reading this book came from the process and the work of putting all of it together myself, synthesizing the entire theme of the book in my brain, and then seeing what I got out of it. Sometimes the work is the point. Being human is messy. We don't always like that. Like my pursuit of efficiency is often my bid for control. If I can get everything down to the same rhythmic formula to get it done quickly on time with the least amount of energy, then I don't risk a whole lot in accomplishing what I'm about to do. And it puts it within knowable boundaries. But things like relationships, building a business, moving abroad, life is messy. It's really hard to know what to expect because nobody can predict the future. We can't know what's coming around the corner. And so in making things hyper efficient or trying to drill down to extract the most out of the least possible work, I think we lose a lot in the process. I think my point's getting maybe a little bit muddled between AI and efficiency. In this instance, I just was kicked off by this whole bot war going on in my inbox right now. But it does come back to things like generative AI, like images and text. A lot of the beauty that comes from what we read and what we watch is the struggle that went into making it in the first place. The stories that come out of it are uniquely human because of the struggle. Robots don't struggle, as far as we know. They might dream of electric sheep, but we haven't gotten that far yet. As somebody who's definitely struggled a lot to figure out his own way to making an art form that he can make a living off of, I've been struggling for like 15 years just to find my way into being a creative professional. I know that I've tried to take some shortcuts in the past, and I know that they've only set me back farther than if I hadn't taken them to begin with. It's kind of like my guide. Like there's some really funny ideas for how to, wow, it is really stormy out here today. Whoa, thank God for magnets. It's kind of like my guide. There've been some very helpful and very funny recommendations on how to solve the problem of having to get hundreds of photos. Part of it's maybe having a thing that's not melting in the rain. But ultimately, I'm really looking forward to the challenge of getting all my own photos, not just because I enjoy taking photos and I enjoy sharing those with you through my guide or Instagram or wherever, but because it's also part of the struggle that makes my guide what it is. It's taken me years to put all these recommendations together. There are probably more places that I have not recommended than I do recommend. Saying no is arguably more important than saying yes to a lot of these places. And so that's also part of it, is I want to go back and check. I want to know, are these still good? Like, do I still want to come back here? The rule for my guide isn't that anything has to be the best, the fanciest, the coolest, the trendiest. It just has to be something that I would go back for, whether that's good food, a fun environment, nice people, a great view, whatever it is, and then share that with you. I recommend this place for this. And going back to double check and make sure, would I still recommend this? Would I still come back here? Do I still want to go back here? Because there's some places on that list that I'm not sure I really want to go back to. That's a flag. So I should go back. I should check it out and find out. And all that hard work, even if it takes me months, it's going to take me months for sure. There are certainly more efficient, automatable, online ways of solving that, but none of those can account for my taste, how that might have changed, and also, just what does a place feel like when you go into it? You can't tell that from Google Maps. Trust me, I know, because I try a lot of places based on the like Google Maps, and a lot of times if they're open, they don't live up to the photos. Anyway, maybe efficiency isn't all it's cracked up to be in every arena. I'll be thinking about this for a bit. I want to get out of this rain. This is miserable. How you doing, Cooper? He's had to stand in the rain waiting for me to finish this whole time. He's such a good, patient young lad. But he also probably wants to go inside.